This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Mike Sedita.
Hello out there. Welcome to episode number 130 of the Good Neighbor Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Sedita. Today, I'm joined by the president, CEO of More Shelving, Brad Moore. Brad, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Normally, I don't like to have guests on that look like Deadpool and like have this doppelganger for Ryan Reynolds. But yeah, I'll let it slide on this episode having you on. We may only put this on audio and not on video just to save my face a little bit.
All right.
But I'm glad to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So just so you know a little bit about what the Good Neighbor Podcast is, why we do what we do. In 2020, the Good Neighbor Podcast was started as a way for business owners like you to tell the community what they're doing, what they have going on, because we had to be socially distant. Right. And over the last 4 years, the Good Neighbor Podcast has evolved into a national brand. We are in Denver and Atlanta and Virginia and all over the U.S. I'm fortunate enough to be the person here in Tampa that gets to talk to business owners. So with that said, tell us a little bit about what is More Shelving.
Yeah. So my business is installing pull-out or slide-out shelves in kitchen cabinets and pantries or bathroom cabinets. I mean, really any kind of cabinet where you might need a pull-out shelf. And if you're not familiar with those, it's basically just drawers that I install into existing cabinets or pantries so that, you can easily just pull everything out and access it, organize it. It's all about just improving kitchen accessibility and organization.
So let me ask you this then. I have a few questions on that. Number one, is your background in like carpet? Because I'm assuming some of this stuff has to be customized, right? As your background in carpentry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I build all of it. I have a warehouse here in Tampa, pretty close to Busch Gardens. Initially, so my dad started this business back in 2010, and I started helping out in 2020. And back then, we were just assembling all the shelves. Like, we'd go take the measurements for the cabinets and then send them to suppliers, and they would send it to us all cut and dovetailed.
Pre-done, yeah.
And we'd just build it in his garage. So there wasn't too much woodworking or carpentry back then. But a couple years ago, 2022, we started leasing a warehouse, and that's when I bought all of the woodworking equipment needed to produce the shelves. There is a lot of woodworking involved. I didn't start doing that until 2020. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: you go into somebody's home and you see how their cabinets are. Are you using generally the same materials on your end, or I don't even know how cabinets come, different wood types. Are you wood type matching, or is it, this is the product we use and this is how we build it?
No. All of the shelves that I build are made with Baltic birch plywood. A lot of like interiors of cabinets are Baltic birch. So it looks similar to the interiors, but the exteriors, a ton of kitchen cabinets are white, so it's going to look pretty different from that. I can, if someone wants, I can like contact a supplier and get different wood to maybe match. But for the most part, it's all Baltic birch that I build these with.
So then the other question I have from that is, I would think, because this is really an efficiency, it's an efficiency product. You're going in and you're basically making your kitchen life easier or simpler or more, convenient, whatever, you want to use. But I don't think it would matter the age of the home. Because are you kind of going in with someone in an older home upgrades their cabinets, or it doesn't matter? I wouldn't think it matters what type of stuff they have. No.
Yeah. I've done work from, anything ranging from brand new to, decades old. It really doesn't matter. I can custom fit anything, whatever kind of cabinet you have. I've done a lot of work in, brand new homes in Pasco, like all the homes they're building out in like Land O'Lakes, Wesley Chapel. I've done a lot of work in new homes there.
There's a lot. So from where are you guys? You said your warehouse is near Busch Gardens. Do you guys have a showroom where you show people this stuff, or do you have a catalog? How do you have like a central hub where you are?
No real showroom. It's just the warehouse there. I don't really have anyone come visit me. I just do like the building. I just build all the shelves there and then bring it to their home.
So no one's coming to visit you. So are you? I mean,
Yeah.
from a service area standpoint, are you from Sarasota to Spring Hill, or do you kind of stay just in Hillsborough? You mentioned Pasco.
Yeah.
Assuming you're there,
Mhm.
how far will you guys drive?
Yeah, I go all over, all over Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas, all three of those counties. Occasionally, I might go outside of that, but for the most part, it's just Pinellas, Hillsborough, and
So you're
Pasco.
going back and forth across a bunch of bridges, going back and forth to
Yeah.
Pinellas.
Yeah, do a lot of driving. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I mean, do you have a couple of crews that are doing installs, or is it you? Is your dad still involved?
No, it's just me. My dad will help out occasionally, but he retired last year. So if there's some sort of tricky thing that I can't really do on my own, he'll help out. But for the most part, it's just me for now. Eventually, I might try to expand and hire some more people.
Right.
But I mean, I've only been running it by myself since last June, so I'm not trying to rush and get big too quickly. I like. It's nice just doing it on my own, not having to like worry about other people screwing.
All right, so take me. Yeah, well, I mean that's a whole other headache having crews and teams and all that, insurance and vans and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That's a whole other level of stuff. But take me through the process. So, how does the first point of entry? Someone call you? Where do they see you? Are you on Facebook? Or where are they? Where are you that you have this virtual showroom?
Yeah. So I've done advertising with like the home mag that gets sent around. It was mostly like Hillsborough, I think that was distributed to. I advertise on Google. A lot of it's just referrals, like friends and neighbors. Someone gets their cabinets done, and then they tell their neighbors, and then I get work from that. I don't know. There's various other contractors that like my dad made connections with,
and they'll bring you in and say, I'm redoing the cabinets. You want to call Brad? He's going to make your kitchen more effective.
Mm-hmm.
So take me through the process. I call you. I live in Epperson, and I call you and I say, hey, I heard about you through a friend of a friend. I want you to come. Do you make one trip out there, do all the measurements and kind of get what they customize, what they're looking to do, or you tell them what you can do? I'm assuming there's a dialogue there. And then you give them an estimate on the spot and they say yes. And then I'm assuming do you take a deposit to do materials? Or what is the process, and how long does a garden variety kitchen take?
They'll give me a call and I'll just chat briefly with them, get an idea of what they're looking for. And then, I set up a time to do the quote. I'll go out, take the measurements, just go over different options, different types of shelves we can do for them. Figure out how many they want, which cabinets, what's the best situation for them. And then, if they want to put in the order, I print out a quote and they can pay the deposit right then. It would be like, 50% of the total. So then at that point, my lead times are typically 2-3 weeks. This is pretty normal. I'll go back and build it and then give them a call maybe a week ahead of time and just let them know, hey, it's ready. Are you going to be available next Tuesday or whatever? And then,
and then you finish, you install it. They say, hey, Brad, it looks great. And then they give you the remaining 50% and you're done and that's it. And then you hope that they refer you to everybody. What is I'm thinking about my kitchen and where the messy parts are. I would think a pots and pans slide out. Is that probably a big one? Is there some sort of component to that? Or is that kind of like everybody else? Just throw it in where it goes, where I can fit it.
Pots and pans, it's normally like a standard shelf. I mean, I can make like dividers and stuff for that. But pots and pans, it's normally just a standard shelf. I do kind of tall divider bins for like baking pans and cutting boards and tall like square kind of items.
What's your go-to? Like, what's the one when you go to somebody's house? It's always the one they need.
I mean, I don't know. I would say pantries, I think, are a big one, especially if they're like narrow, deep pantries, and it's just like impossible to get items out of the back.
Right. So you're shuffling.
Yeah. So that is very common. And I mean, it would just be just standard or maybe deep shelves for that.
Right.
Yeah, that's very common. I mean, I do a lot of, so, you see a lot of cabinets, like large cabinets that have like a post in the middle of them.
Right.
Like the doors converge on. So with those, I'll typically cut that post and like reattach it to the door. And that gives them a lot more.
So
storage.
when the door closes, the post appears. Like it's kind of attached to the door instead of sitting there stationary.
Yeah. I just make 2 small cuts, so it's hard to even tell unless you're looking at it.
Yeah. I gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah, and I mean that you lose just a lot of storage if you leave that post in there, and it's always in the way. So that's something I do all the time. That really improves storage.
I don't want to brag about my woodworking skills, but since I have this platform, I will do a little bit of a brag. So in high school, in 10th grade, my shop teacher, Bob Concato, helped me build a drop leaf table for my parents for Christmas. Now, my 10th grade, Christmas of my 10th grade was probably December 1987. So we're talking 1,000 years ago that I made this table. Yeah. And wouldn't you know, I've moved from New Jersey to Atlanta to Tampa, multiple stops in each location. And if we had a remote camera right now, I could take you into my TV room, and that drop leaf table is still together, still works perfectly.
Yeah.
The caveat is it's literally the only woodworking thing I've ever made. Everybody had a birdhouse and wood shop and everything else. I shot for the fences in December of 87, and I never looked back. I mic dropped and walked away from the woodworking. So now that I've put it out there, I mean, if you're looking for somebody to expand, I'm not saying I'm the guy, but I do have some skills that I might be able to help you out with.
All right, yeah, I'll keep that in mind.
Keep it in mind. You don't gotta make any decisions here when it's in the atmosphere. So when you are not, driving all over Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas and working on people's cabinets and making them more efficient and enjoying their kitchen more, what do you like to do for fun?
I do woodworking as a hobby sometimes. Like I just moved into a new apartment a couple months ago, so I've made like an end table, like a nice headboard with like attached like nightstands to it. I just made a bar cart recently. I do. Yeah, I like to do woodworking as a hobby. I don't know. I like cooking. I like to bake bread. Exercise. Let's see. I don't know. Travel every now and then.
You watch that? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, I travel every now and then.
Okay. All right. Well, you own your own business. So the more you get into it, probably the less you're going to travel because there's not enough hours in the day to get away for a week. You're going to have to tell everybody about put the wood away for a week and go away. Do you ever see these videos on Instagram? I don't know if you're on what social media platforms you're on, but there is this one thing on Instagram. I watch these guys. They make desks and they do it like they take old pieces of wood, they bore it out, they pour stuff in it to give it color, and then they do this lacquer over it. Do you know these videos that I'm talking about?
Yeah, like the epoxy, like river tables.
It's so cool. I love those things. I can't imagine lifting one. Like I watched them install one on one of those videos. That stuff is super cool. I think that's going to be the next project in your apartment. Forget an end table, Brad. Come on, we need to step up the game. We need like a Game of Thrones throne room table. That would be key. That would be good.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I might make myself a new computer desk sometime this year. So I might do something like that. That could be pretty sweet. Yeah.
It always blows my mind watching them. I also listen woodworking. So we're gonna get on woodworking. I watched a guy. They showed over 6 months. He built out of wood a Rolls-Royce Bentley for his kid as a go-kart.
Wow.
And when they do just the way he did it, like the way he dovetailed the wood to connect it. And if anybody's listening to this, I know I'm getting super technical because I did build a table and wood shop in 1987. But the dovetail is like that interlocking cut of the wood. So when you put them together, they're locked in a little bit more secure. This thing was legit, like on the road, rims and tires. I mean, it was the coolest looking thing. I can watch that stuff. Like I get lost in it, like a rabbit hole. I start watching it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still pretty new to woodworking. I'm not ready to do something like that.
All right. Well,
But yeah.
But have you ever built a drop leaf table? Have you ever done that?
I have not. No, you got me beat.
All right.
there.
Well,
Yeah.
when I come to work for you, we could talk about maybe I'll show you how I did it. It was a whole big thing, but we'll get into that another time. So you work in a living doing woodworking. Your hobbies are woodworking. You like to travel. What about what part of town do you live? Are you in Pasco?
No, I just moved to Ybor City, actually.
Okay. So you're down there. So you're still. So you have a nightlife. You have a social life of what you're doing.
A little bit. Get to hang out with all the.
Well, you look like Ryan Gosling, so the social life can't be too terrible. What are you? So, now your dad was your dad always a craftsman? Was he that guy? He was like Bob Vila?
No, not really. No, he kind of took over his dad's business, which was totally different. It was called Juno. It was this big industrial pipe business over in Lakeland. But they got bought out, and then my dad retired, and then he started a few different businesses. And so the pull-out shelves was just one of the businesses that he started, but that's the one that he stuck with the longest. So he initially started doing it. It was a franchise, pull-out shelf company, which was based in Arizona.
Right.
So he learned from them. He went to a whole seminar or whatever and got trained and whatnot. So that's when he got started. Yeah, that was back in 2010. So no, he didn't really teach me too much crafty stuff growing up.
All right.
Yeah.
So your dad's more of an entrepreneur, business guy looking for the venture that's profitable, like that. Not like a roofing company where you need storage space upon storage space for shingles.
Yeah.
I know you said you have a warehouse, but it's probably a little bit of machinery and some materials, right? I mean, you don't have 20,000 square feet of warehouse space.
No, not even close. No, my warehouse is about 1,000 square feet.
It works.
Yeah, I mean, I have table saw, miter saw station, a dovetailing machine, big air compressor, and then all the Baltic birch that I use to build the shelves.
Right. So all right. So that's cool. So I mean, your dad sounds like a smart businessman. He found something that was not overly costly in materials and doesn't require a big space. And the way businesses are now, I mean, you don't need a big showroom anymore. I mean, maybe if you're a tiling, a tile company that needs to show 60,000 things that people need to touch, but you have really generally one set of materials, a small warehouse, a couple pieces of machinery. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I always love hearing from business owners that do that. And then you obviously saw the value in it to the point where you said, hey, look, you've been doing this 10 years. Let me take it over. You want to retire and do it. Do you start to think about a 5-year plan? Would you like to at some point have, 2 or 3 crews out at a time and generating some business that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something down the road I'm going to look into. I don't know if I have a specific timeline for it. I mean, I would want to build up just more, I would say, capital before I go, hiring a bunch of people. But that is something down the road I would like to do. It's a pretty physically demanding job. It's not something I'm going to be able to do forever. The installations can be pretty grueling sometimes if it's a big one. So, eventually I would, definitely need some help. But I don't know if I have a specific timeline for that. But yeah.
So then you brought up something there, obviously there's different levels to jobs. Is there in your head what's the biggest job you've done? And when you measure size, I mean, you talk about the square footage or the number of cabinets. When you walk into a house and it's a 16,000, when you walk into Derek Jeter's house on Davis Island and you see this 2,000 square foot kitchen, are you holy crap, I'm in trouble here? Or what's the biggest one you've ever done? And is it cabinets or is it square footage that's your measuring stick?
I would say probably number of cabinets and just the labor involved in each one. If I have to do a bunch of those post removals, that's pretty time consuming to do those. So if I have to do half a dozen of those for one job, it's going to take a while. And I don't know, pantries can be pretty difficult. like drywall pantries with like the
Yeah.
bifold doors and the wire shelves. Those are never square. They're always just wonky. Like, the back might be half an inch narrow.
I had a triangle pantry. Walked into a door and there was like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It just ended in the middle as you kept going down it.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. So those are a big pain. That's like an all day thing if I have to do one of those bifold pantries. So yeah, it's more just the labor involved in installing them, and the number of cabinets.
Right.
I don't know. I did a really big one in like Clearwater Beach a few months back. It was like all the kitchen, multiple bathrooms, big bifold pantry.
Wow.
So that was like I think I had to go back like 3 times, I think, total to do that one. So when you take the deposit from somebody and you build the materials and you call them and say, hey, I'm going to be out there in a week, do you say to them, please clean out your pantry, or are you going there and cleaning out their pantry for them? They normally do that for me. Every now and then they'll forget, I guess. Or
leave the dog food everywhere and leave cans of Campbell's soup everywhere, and you're like doing their grocery shopping for them before you get to work. The vast majority of time the people will clear it out, but occasionally I have to do it for them. Oh gosh, the things we run into. So let me ask you this, Brett, as we start to wind this up, what is the one thing, someone listening to this, what do they need to know about More Shelving that they're going to go, we need to use these guys. We need to give Brad a call.
Like I said, this is all done locally by me, and my lead times are pretty quick. My main competitors are like national companies that, they take a lot longer, and they're far more expensive. I would say if anyone's gotten a quote from like Shelf Genie is my main competitor, and we're kind of blown away by the price. Like, my quotes are typically like maybe a quarter of what they quote. So I would say, if you're turned off by that, I have much more reasonable prices and faster lead times. And just, it's a great product for your kitchen. If you're in the kitchen a lot, and, especially, a lot of my customers are older, and, just getting down and like getting stuff out of the backs of their cabinets is just a huge issue for them. They might not be able to do it. So if you have issues accessing and organizing your kitchen, this can be very, very helpful. And it looks nice. And it's just a really, really useful product if you need help with getting your kitchen organized.
And we'll include this information in the podcast when we produce it, but what's the best way to reach you? I have cabinets that are a mess. I need that center bar cut out. I have the whole thing that needs to be done. How do I get a hold of you the best way?
So I have a website. It's moreshelving.com. That's MOORE. So it's kind of a pun, More Shelving. It's my last name, more MOORE, shelving.com. That's a great way. You can submit a form there. And just, give me your contact info and a good idea of, what you have in mind. You can also call me. That number is on my website as well. I don't know. Are you I think you said you were going to give it out.
You can give it out. Give it out. Right. I'll give it out. We'll give it out a couple times.
Yeah. All right. So my number, if you just want to call me, it would be 813-241-7381. Those are the best ways, either the website or just give me a call.
So, folks, if you're listening to the podcast, you're watching it here on YouTube, or you're listening on whatever platform you're listening on, Brad Moore is the president of More Shelving. He's obviously funny because he has a pun in his name of his website, moreshelving.com. You can always reach him directly at 813-241-7381. Contact him today if you're just looking for something that's going to be efficient and effective, make your life easier. There are so many things out there that you can try to do. If you've gotten sticker shock from the big competitor national chain, use a local business, family rundown, family from generation to generation. Contact Brad. Brad, thank you so much for being on the Good Neighbor podcast, and thank you so much for being a good neighbor. You have a great day.
Yeah, thanks. You too, Mike.
Thanks for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Passcode. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnppasco.com. That's gnppasco.com, or call 922-3610.